The following tone is a reference tone, recorded at our operating level.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of the Squat Cobbler trilogy. I am Mike. You can find me at Official Pagan on nearly all social media. With me, as always,
is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter, and pretty much that on everything else, including Snapchat. But don't send me anything because Snapchat is stupid.
Yeah, Snapchat is dumb. I'll look at your snaps that you send me of you snorting whatever, but I have no idea how to respond to you using the Snapchat app. So unless I have your actual number, I can't respond to you because text is the only response you're going to get.
And as a reminder, in a future Squat Cobbler, and I think I hadn't had a chance to talk to you about this offline, Mike, but I think when we do that Squat Cobbler, we might actually do that as a live video show.
Okay.
So you might have to invest in a light bulb for that. For that show, so you can see your shiny face as a gentleman named Bennett he's accepted the challenge and will be attempting to convince Mike and I, move us off our position that Snapchat is stupid. We'll see how he does.
That's going to be a difficult argument to make because I am pretty set that Snapchat is stupid.
I don't like his odds. He's going to give it a shot, so you got to respect that.
What is your social media platform of choice?
It is Twitter. In terms of interaction, it's Twitter. Between the hashtag games and I have connected with the largest number of cool people through Twitter versus any other social platform. So stock and trade in terms of interactions, it's getting hard because as amazing as Twitter is for some things, it's also the playground for the very angry, the very partisan. Folks have issues, so you end up, there can be a lot of clutter. It was fascinating I actually took a front row seat. We, as established before, Squat Cobbler's official position on the election is there's a Vote Alice Cooper website. Go to that. You need to write Alice in. We're not joking. We're pretty sure the vote will count. And our only political position is that Alice Cooper, who's outlined a platform that Mike is 90% on board with, that Alice Cooper, it should be our next president.
Absolutely.
That's our only political position. But in Twitter land, as different things have gone on, and so this Squat Cobbler will make its way out well after this is old news at this point in time. But there was a recent the DNC had gotten hacked. There were a lot of emails available. They were distributed. People were going through them, and there were a number of emails from Colin Powell, where we find out that Colin Powell is a direct man, a man of opinions. Whether you're a Trump fan or a Hillary fan, there was gold there for you because you got him calling Trump a national disgrace. You got him calling Hillary greedy. So there's lots of things going on. But what I got a front row seat for on Twitter was early this had come out, and then all of a sudden I saw this tweet and I read it and I said, "Oh, somebody just made this up." And then I looked a little bit further and said, "Oh no. This is actually one of his emails," but it basically ended with, so it was where he made mention of Hillary being greedy. So he's exchanging communications with some high-powered donor, and he's assuming he's just talking to him, and it's not going to be published to the world. And he kind of enumerates some of the pluses and minuses of Hillary. He's not really enthusiastic, and he kind of gives some pros and cons to her. It kind of goes through, it's not the greatest moment for her probably, but it gets real bad because at the end it goes, and then, and her husband's home dicking bimbos is how he finishes the email. I believe this is the first instance of a Secretary of State using the term dicking bimbos.
Well, at least, on an official...
In official capacity, yeah. It's a great band name. It's a great hashtag. So I was able to actually see the patient zero dicking bimbos show up on Twitter and watch it grow into this crazy, crazy thing. Those types of things, when people kind of already pick sides on stuff, they just get so toxic. I don't like that part. But you can steer, what I like about Twitter is I can steer clear of that. I don't have to dip into that part of the pool if I don't want to. And at some point, if somebody's getting real irritating on my timeline, I can unfollow them or block them. Super long way of saying Twitter's my favorite, although I really enjoy Instagram to share photos of different things. You?
I would say nowadays it's probably Instagram. That's the one that I use the most. I think I post something on Instagram at least once a day. And I post on Facebook a lot, but the Facebook stuff is usually just a reposting of whatever I put on Instagram. Twitter is difficult for me because I like using pictures and visuals and things like that to kind of show people what we're doing. So Instagram plays right into my wheelhouse, whereas Twitter, I'm sort of limited with the caption. I know I can post pictures, but with captions and things like that. Also, I've had weird, inconsistent experiences with the Twitter app for my phone, and my phone is how I do most of my social media posting.
And you just typically use the straight Twitter app?
Typically, yes.
Yeah. My only other plug on Twitter is, Twitter's the platform that got me the Piranaconda egg. Twitter's the platform that got me the Steve Gutenberg autographed.
Steve Gutenberg autograph is incredible.
Autographed Two Lava, Two Lantula poster. And it's a platform that, we've benefited from, whether it was Julianne Emery from Better Call Saul, the awesome Terry Ivins, Christina Bach, all of these individuals that we've had a chance to kind of connect with and have on shows. The initial connection interaction occurred through Twitter. That's a vote in its favor.
Oh, yeah. No, I think Twitter's great. It's just not my preferred. It's probably second for me. Instagram right now is just my preferred social media platform.
Oh, and I think you got a lot stronger artistic outlet with that.
I just like it too because it's weird to kind of like go on Twitter or go on Facebook and post like, with Christian doing this or whatever, when I could just take a picture of us recording or getting ready for a show or whatever it is. And like, I think people appreciate that more than just trying to imagine whatever we were talking about.
And if you were listening closely, folks, you didn't hear Mike or I mention Snapchat.
Nope.
There's a reason for that.
All right. Well, that was an incredibly long intro. And we had...
It's good because my recommendation's short. This will work out.
You know what? My recommendation's not particularly long either. So it's actually good that we really front-loaded this episode. So why don't you get us started then with the recommendations, sir?
All righty. So this is going to be a recommendation and a quiz.
I didn't even prepare.
Even if you knew there had been one, I doubt you would have prepared. So
true. You got me.
So I'm recommending an internet site. The internet site is www.internetslang.com. Internetslang, SLANGE.com. And it is, as advertised, a website that lets you decode all of these 2, 3, 4-letter combinations that are out there that you don't know about. And I came across it because someone had responded to me and finished it with IOK, the letters IOK together. And I had no idea what that. My sense was it meant okay and was either a typo or some other way, but I went and looked it up, and it actually is basically a shorthand for like okay, or and so it is. It's an okay, but I didn't know what it was. I did a search on IOK to find out. Took me to the site, and it is comprehensive. You can see what's trending in terms of what most people don't know what they are and the answers to that, or you can look at, like what I did, is if you get hit with one sometime and don't want to look silly, you can go find it out. Just a nice little reference tool. I think you'll like it. If you weren't aware of it before, it will become super handy. So that's like a super quick recommendation on it, so that I can move to the second part, which is we're gonna quiz Mike.
Oh. I was just about to say, too, like, this sounds like a really interesting thing, and you should have figured out some kind of crazy thing to use on the show, but apparently you did.
I was going to hit you with a couple, but actually what might be kind of fun is at some point for us to have a rich history of some past podcasts of having contests and games where we have some folks go up against each other to try and answer. This would be a pretty good tool to populate a pretty fun quiz to see who's up with the kids today. So I'm going to give you a couple here. And we'll see how you do.
I'm going to be honest with you. My expectations for myself are not high.
I'm thinking you're going to have a tough go. I think I wouldn't have gotten any of these either. So we're even. But it was my recommendation, so I get to ask you.
Okay.
So STS. Sam, Tom, Sam. STS.
All right. Give me a second here. STS. I'm going to say that it stands for Shit Talking Sherpa. So when the Sherpa is leading you up the mountain, and they hate the people that they're leading up the mountain, they're talking shit about them. Is that right?
That's the traditional, the historical meaning of that. Today it's been modified to smirk to self. So S2S is
wow.
So.
Never, ever would have gotten there. Obviously, I was still right because that's the more traditional version of it. But man, kids these days,
kooky kids, they're crazy. Okay, I'm gonna give you a break. I'm gonna give you 3.
Okay,
you're a third of the way through. So, and the next one, I'm gonna even give you a hint. So
okay.
The next one is WRU. And if I was texting that to you in a hip, kind of cool way, I might put a question mark at the end of that.
Are you? I'm gonna have to go with where are you?
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh my God! I actually got that right.
That was that one right. Very impressive.
I almost don't even know what to do with myself. I'll never use these.
One, I don't smirk to myself much, so I think I'm going to be pretty good there.
No, I think if you're smirking to yourself, you might look insane. If you're just randomly wandering around smirking.
Yep, it seems like a bad idea. So the good news for you here, even if you get this one wrong, you're batting .333, which would put you into the Hall of Fame for baseball. So it's very, very impressive outing for you overall.
So everyone heard that. Kelly said I belong in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Current batting, you can't argue with it. I don't know if you're hitting for power here, but you're guaranteed, and you'll be first ballot if you get this because you're batting .666 at this point, which is oddly appropriate. But okay, now this one I actually might use, and this one is D as in David, N as in Nancy, D as in David, C as in Charlie, DNDC.
As much as I would love to have 666 as my average, DNDC.
What's in your heart right now, Mike? What's the one thing you want to say about this quiz and about what's going on? If you were just to express exactly how you feel right now, what might you say?
You know what? I honestly don't know, sir.
Oh, you're so close.
So DNDC. So is it do not?
Don't know, don't care.
Wouldn't that be DKDC?
It's the kids. It's cool to say no.
I hate to sound like the old guy here, but that's not how that's spelled.
Well, U begins with a Y, and the letter U services as you quite a bit. So.
All right. It is weird that I would make the distinction that I'd be okay with the letter U representing the word you.
N for no is totally unacceptable.
N for no, though, that's just crazy talk.
But I think DNDC, I can find use for that.
Yeah, I could see that.
This does look like a great platform to have a little contest sometime.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to look into that. I'm
just looking through, see if there's any other. I think that's gonna probably be. I think that's gonna be it. So XAXA.
No idea. Xylophone ass, like it's a weird porn thing.
Siamese twins or something.
There's ass to ass porn. Like this is xylophone to ass porn,
which is a niche. So I guess we could do and I believe it's called the Belinsky test, where you can search on that term, and if it's a major category on a porn site, then you're not too messed up.
Right. I have a feeling though, xylophone to ass is not a really well-known category of pornography.
I'm gonna guess. It's Stranger Things, but I'm gonna guess. I'm not sure about how many Stranger Things, but there are a few Stranger Things, I guess. But
I can't help myself. I am going to Google this right now.
Okay. Are you Googling xylophone ass porn or?
Yes, I am. Xylophone to ass porn. I'm just going to do xylophone to ass and see what comes up. I hope that if I die, someone looks through my phone and finds searches like this. So all it's leading me to is an apparently extensive line of merchandise that says xylophone players kick ass.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that, xylophone players. That makes you feel better.
That's like the triangle player saying his solo is just as important as the guitar players.
So we may have lost our xylophone demographic, but
we had that strong xylophone base until tonight.
Yep, it was poorly thought out. We should have reflected on that. No, you're going to have a problem with this one on kind of multiple levels, given your whole letter issue. So XAXA is short for ha ha.
No, I reject that. That doesn't even make any sense. No.
Because it's not shorter. Now they do in their description. There's a space between the first ha and the second ha. So I guess, strictly speaking, it's shorter because XAXA is all the characters are together.
But how?
Yeah,
How does X equal hot? Like, how does XA equal HA? Doesn't make sense. They don't look at it. No.
So I think I need to write a sternly worded email to the owners of internetslang.com, and they need to at least allow us to challenge because I will support you that we need to expunge. But actually, this, I brought up the trending terms.
Right.
So it was they give the top 50. They've got over 9,000 of them in here. But XAXA, apparently somebody's using it because it's the 50th most searched thing on this database right now. All right, so that was that highly educational and fun for the whole family recommendation with a slight absent the xylophone porn. We probably need.
We tried.
Outside.
Use xylophone fetish people.
That's right. So we'll miss you. Not really. Xylophone players kick ass. Right. Actually, I think I would like to get a T-shirt that says that. All right, fella. I think you got the next one.
All right. Now, my recommendation is not particularly long either, and I do need to do maybe a little bit of a disclaimer beforehand. I have never done anything like this on this or any other show before. So I'm glad you're already sitting down. Brace yourself for this. I am going to recommend something that has I may be accused of having just the slightest bias towards.
I'm having a really hard time wrapping my head around this one.
I know. I knew that would take you back, and I knew you were going to need a second to kind of get yourself back into the show. Here's the other thing. There's two parts to this shocking reveal. Not only may I have a slight bias towards the people behind what I'm about to recommend, but there could just be the faintest hint of a plug for myself in there.
And I was flummoxed by XAXA. This is...
Right. I know. And I'm sorry, and it won't happen again, obviously, but I just felt really strongly about this particular recommendation. And you know what? I wrestled with it. It was an emotional, heartfelt thing. I made pros and cons lists. I called my local minister and talked it out with them. And really just at the end of the day, I felt that this particular recommendation was for an item that I felt so strongly about, that those subtle, barely noticeable things that I just mentioned were worth risking. And the reason that I'm coming out and saying them in the beginning is to sort of make them void and make them a non-issue from this point of the recommendation forward. So do you remember back in the Snarkalic radio days, a guest that we had on more than one occasion, Mr. Pat Briggs?
I do.
And Pat is the singer of the band Psychotica.
Pat had a Piranaconda egg in tribute of him for one of the shows, as a matter of fact.
As well he should have. So Psychotica is my favorite band. And again, just in the interest of total visibility, the bass player of that band, Christian, is also the guitar player of my band. So just getting the subtle, just so everyone realizes there's no true conflict of interest here in what my recommendation is. So Pat, when he was on our show a couple of times on our old show, he was taking us through the early stages of working on his solo album. That solo album is out, and that is my recommendation. My recommendation is Pat Briggs' solo record, which is called Pervert. Now, Pat did play a couple of songs for us in their early stages back during the show. All of those songs appear on the album. Of course, they're a little more touched up and polished as he's had, the months have gone by of him working on these songs. I should probably note, just again, in the interest of total transparency, that Christian contributed to this record, and it just so happens that so did I. Obviously, there is no bias there, and I am not plugging myself in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying this so that people know up front and can get over it and understand that this is an excellent, excellent record. It is something that I would recommend not just for fans of Psychotica, but for fans more of, I would say, like straightforward, like arena hard rock music. Like, these are big songs with big choruses that you can sing along to. They're heavy, but they're not overly heavy. There's some dark moments in it, but nothing that would be off-putting to somebody who is a slightly more mainstream music fan. And that's what I really, really like about this. I feel like Pat has taken his really distinctive voice that Psychotica fans are used to, and really similar type of content and subject matter that the Psychotica fans would be used to, but he's presented it in a way that I feel like casts a larger net without diluting the message of his music. I feel like people who aren't necessarily, who would maybe be a little bit put off by the heavier, darker persona of Psychotica could still get into this, but their fans are going to appreciate this just as much as they would any of the band's records. And Paul from that band contributes to this album as well. There is a reworking on this of my favorite Psychotica song, which is a song called Little Prince, which was on their debut full-length album, which this year is actually the 20th anniversary of that album. So 20 years after the first Psychotica record, Pat releases his first solo record. It has a reworking of my favorite song on there. So in every way, I strongly, strongly recommend this album to everybody. Pat's voice sounds incredible. He really hasn't lost anything in that time. A lot of times with singers, you can hear their, range isn't quite what it used to be. Not even saying in a bad way, but Pat is coming out just as strong on this record as he did 20 years ago. The reworking of the Psychotica song sounds great. Paul sounds great on it. Christian's contribution is excellent to it. I may have played a small little part in a song on here, and obviously no bias towards that, but I think that song is pretty good as well.
Oh, so your involvement was with a song? Because I just kind of made the assumption you inspired the title.
Well, I mean, I would love to think that obviously during this entire process, hopefully I was an inspiration for Pat. But yeah, no, I did contribute to a song on this album.
Can I drag out of you what that song might be?
Sure. There is a song on the album called Functioning Junky, which Pat had done. It was a completed song, and he passed it along to me to see if I was interested in doing a remix for it as like a bonus track on the album. And instead what I ended up doing was basically reworking the song. Instead of just doing a normal remix to it, I created this entire new section to the song that we added into the song. And both versions are on there. The shorter version, which I believe is like the second track on the album, and then my version, which is the song that closes out the album, which is significantly longer.
I can't think of anyone who has exercised more discipline than you to not take advantage of a podcast to plug their own material. So if anyone deserves an opportunity to, on one very special occasion, recommend something that they might have a slight connection to, I don't know if there's been anyone who has earned it better than you have earned it, given your stellar track record on this topic.
Well, thank you for taking note of that, sir.
I know it's not easy.
It's not. Obviously, there are times like I could come on here and just say things like people should listen to my new album, Dead Girls, coming out later this year on Universal, but I don't do that. I don't say any of that stuff. I don't say things like the new movie I did with Shane is available for pre-order now on Amazon and Best Buy. I don't say stuff like that.
And when you're not saying that, you don't say the title of that?
No, the title of that movie, if I was going to say it, would be Faces of Snuff, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, I know, because that's how you roll. You don't talk about Faces of Snuff or Dead Girls coming out on Universal.
Yeah, I don't talk about Faces of Snuff being available for pre-order for $9.99 on Best Buy right now. I don't say that.
BestBuy.com?
BestBuy.com or Amazon.com.
Okay.
But, you're not going to drag out of me where you can get it.
Would not dream of it.
But Pat's album, Pervert, is available digitally now. And I am told that there's going to be a vinyl release of it, which I'm incredibly excited about, because up until this point, nothing that I have contributed to or played on directly has had a vinyl release. So that's something I'm incredibly excited about, because that'll give me two. Because, well, all right, I guess I'm going to do a subtle plug for myself here. My album, Dead Girls, will be released on vinyl. So that'll give me two in a short proximity to each other. So that makes me, as a vinyl collector and general music nerd, makes me extremely happy.
And when you say that it's Pat's album's available digitally, is that through his site, or is that also through kind of some standard?
It's available through all the standard sites. You get on Amazon and iTunes and all that stuff. To the best of my knowledge, there's no physical edition of it available yet. But like I said, there is a vinyl coming, and I believe there's a CD as well, if you're one of those people who still listens to CDs. Well,
this is a landmark episode. Don't know what to say.
I know. It's difficult to wrap your head around.
That is good. So you've got some you can put on Pervert and listen to it as you learn many, many new inappropriately constructed acronyms and abbreviations.
XA, stupid. Don't ever use that.
XA. It's like, what? What's the point? Boy, I'm still trying to collect myself a little bit here, but I will go ahead and
I expected that you would be taken back by that, and I'm sorry for not giving you a heads up.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed as well, because as you started down this road, I was kind of hoping you were going to recommend Squat Cobbler, but
How great would that be? We should do that.
We should recommend the show. Yeah, just that we'll have to look at that. that may be. Well, we keep toying around with the idea of premium content. That could be a premium content show. The Squat Cobbler recommending Squat Cobbler.
And it's both of our recommendations.
Yep. That'd be good listening. I think people would like that. I believe this week for social media, I'm gonna be offering up our recommendation for this week. Well, we began the conversation a while back, talking about social media platforms of choice, and indicated Twitter was the one for me. And early in that description, I talked about hashtag games as being one of the things that I enjoy the most on Twitter. And I do, many restless nights, I do kind of stir and go, why am I so good at coming up with creepy pickup lines? So when you hashtag creepy pickup lines, I could go hours and they flow and they feel right and they're good. But that's a natural thing. So that's a personal problem. But I enjoy playing hashtag games. This allows me to kind of cross paths with other individuals who are very gifted at this art, and I'm going to recommend one of those today. And so the Twitter ID is Talk Like Jar Jar. This individual plays a ton of hashtag games, so you're going to be able to kind of connect in and do that. And on Talk Like Jar Jar Day, which is August 19th, for those of you, so we just missed it just not that long ago. That day, I believe the feed does talk a lot like Jar Jar, but by and large, outside of that special day, it's just somebody who's like really good at hashtag games. So at Chalk Like Jar Jar on Twitter is my recommendation for this week.
That's an excellent recommendation, sir.
I was going to recommend Carp Watch, but they didn't follow me back. So Carp Watch, no recommendation for you.
See, that's an important lesson, too. If you don't follow us back, you're never going to get that Squat Cobbler bump that you're looking for.
That's right. And I believe there's a recommendation show in the future that will tell you all about why you do want to get that Squat Cobbler bump. So that'll be good. Well, that's part 12 of our trilogy. Done. A shocking 12th episode. Amazing things happened.
I hit you with the Shyamalan twist and the unexpected subtle plugging of a project that I was tangentially involved in.
And I do believe the title of this episode will be XAXA. just so you know.
It does have to be at this point, I think.
Okay, gang, I think we're done for this round, so I'd just like to say thanks for listening.